Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-3266 or email talkback@sportstalk. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We're excited about coming down there. We've had a lot of success in this state. There's a lot of great college baseball teams in this state. And we've been very good. Coastal's been very good. Clemson's been very good. Carlton Charleston's been very good. It's neat when we all play each other, I think.
We spent a lot of time these first 7 practices, really fundamentals, drills, technique, installation, the way our spring is structured. We've got some scrimmages and half scrimmages that are kind of purposely scheduled toward the latter part here so that we can really evaluate.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk here on South Carolina Radio Network. From downtown Columbia, we wrap up a beautiful afternoon in the Palmetto State with 2 hours of the most beautiful sports conversation that you can find anywhere. It's what we do here on Sports Talk. We converse about sports. You want to talk about social issues? Go somewhere else. You want to talk about money? Find another place. You want to talk politics? Not here. Well, sometimes politics does enter into the conversation.
Yes.
It's all about sports, wins and losses, bouncing of the ball, swinging of the bat, crashing of the car, firing of the coach, signing of the prospect, all of that.
Player.
All of that here on Sports Talk tonight. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes. Mac is over at USC spring football practice. He'll join us shortly, and we'll hear from the Gamecocks after practice. Baseball is underway up at Western Carolina and down at Coastal Carolina. And let's update you on what's happening. First of all, Clemson and Western got off to a 5 o'clock start, and Clemson got off to a very good start. The Tigers have already scored 5 runs through 2 at-bats for them. They're the top of the third. They lead it 5-2, 5-4-0 for the Tigers, 2-2-0 for Western Carolina. Alex Schnell on the mound for Clemson. Duggar already has a couple of hits for the Tigers and an RBI. I'm sorry, that 1 hit and an RBI and has scored a couple of runs. Okie has a hit and an RBI for Clemson. So a good start for the Tigers, who are trying to build on the momentum of winning that series at Virginia Tech over the weekend. In Conway, South Carolina and Coastal Carolina. And the Gamecocks are batting in the top of the first. They have a threat brewing with 2 outs. They have runners on first and second. And they're trying to scratch early against Coastal Carolina, which has won, I think they're at 7 in a row going into this one. And they have beaten on consecutive Tuesdays. They have beaten Michigan State. They have beaten North Carolina. They have beaten Clemson. Now they're trying to finish it up with South Carolina tonight. So we got that going on for you. We got Gamecock football going on for you as well. We will also have a visit from Chip Wild from Darlington. Plenty to talk about in NASCAR coming off the weekend in Fontana. Great racing, but a controversial finish, of course, with the debris on the track call more than once by the officials of NASCAR that some believe just snaked a win away from Kurt Busch. We'll get Chip's take on that coming up later. We'll be right back. Love to hear from you on this Tuesday afternoon. If you're driving around the States, maybe you're out for a walk, a jog. Maybe you are sitting on the back porch with a cold one in your hand. Maybe you've got the barbecue fired up. Maybe you're sitting inside the house with the air conditioning on for the first time this spring, maybe. Whatever you're doing, love to hear from you. Plenty to talk about. 800-956-7266, the direct line into Sports Talk. The email is talkback@sportstalksc.com, on Twitter @sportstalksc, on Facebook, Sports Talk Radio Network, and, of course, the website is sportstalksc.com. And we'll hear from K-Mac here in a little bit from USC practice. We'll hear from some of the Gamecocks. Not sure if Spurrier is going to talk today since he talked on Saturday. But I think today we should be hearing from more defensive people, though we had John Hoke on Saturday. We'll see who they bring out. Updating baseball, bottom of the first at Coastal, USC failed to score. Caldwell flied out for the last out of the top of the first, so no score there. Josh Reagan on the mound for South Carolina. And up at Cullowhee, it's still 5-2. Bottom of the third, Clemson is leading Western Carolina. Clemson, not a lot of success these week games lately. They need to win these kind of games and continue to win some ACC weekend games to put themselves back in position to be considered for a host for a regional in May. What about that game last night? We now know South Carolina will face North Carolina in the NCAA Women's Sweet 16, 7 o'clock on Friday night. Now, I wonder what the thinking was about playing that game at 7 o'clock versus 9:30. See, my thinking was you would play that game at 9:30 for obvious reasons. It would give time for more South Carolina and North Carolina fans to get into the arena. It's the prime time game, I would think, the two more highly regarded teams facing off. And also, what happens is after that game is over, you're going to have mass exodus from the arena for the night game, which is what? Is it Arizona State and Florida State? Is that who ended up advancing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense, except, of course, ESPN wanted that game in their 7 o'clock slot for some reason.
Yeah, and I think probably their thinking is also that the CBS is going to stick some of the more prime men's games during the 9 o'clock tip. So why not stick the women on early? Well,
do you worry about that? I mean, you're not going to draw the men's tournament no matter what you do. That really shouldn't be a
but anytime you go over there, you're gonna think that. Plus, some people say, well, these are the two teams that people expect to be in the championship game, so give them an extra 2 hours of rest, which I don't understand. And because you don't play the Sunday, well, we need extra time to rest. What, extra 2 hours could start your game early? Doesn't make any sense to me either.
Great game last night, though. I actually stayed around to watch the end of it. North Carolina blew a huge lead against Ohio State, but managed to get a shot at the buzzer. What a fantastic shot that was by the Tar Heels. It was by by Jamie Cherry.
Yeah, freshman.
And that was a heck of a shot. Now, here's the funny thing. If that had been a men's game, and listen, ladies, I know women's basketball has come a heck of a long way, and it's important. Don't get me wrong. I get that. And people have a lot of emotion to it. Had that been a men's game, though, and things happen as they happen at the end of this one, there would be such a brouhaha going on today, you wouldn't be able to hear yourself think. The ball went through the net. The clock stops when the ball completes its journey through the net. Watching the replay, the ball came through the net with 0.6 seconds left on the clock. Clock didn't stop. But had they gone back and reviewed it, they would have put 0.6. But here's the catch. The Tar Heel bench came running onto the court. Players did. And that's right, technical. And the three officials took off. They didn't even try to go back and look it over. They exited as quickly as they could. But nobody, the ESPN TV crew, sort of hemmed and hawed around the fact that there might have been some time left on the clock.
Yeah,
there might have been some time, but nobody took while I was watching, nobody took the officials to task by saying, excuse me, You mind taking a look at that to see if there's any time left on the clock? And nobody pointed out that the Tar Heel bench came running onto the court and there was time still left. I mean, imagine that being North Carolina men hitting a shot like that, let's say against Kentucky. What? No, everybody just walked up. When the officials left, everybody walked out. Like, okay, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, you're right. If
Imagine that being the men's North Carolina Kentucky game, in a similar, or Duke North Kentucky, whatever the case may be, a men's game of that magnitude in that setting. Don't you think they would have gone to the monitors to look it over? And don't you think the officials would have hung around? I don't understand that. Maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But I don't get what they
got the matchup they wanted. They wanted North Carolina. South
there
Carolina.
you go again.
No, that's what I was saying. I was saying, where are you? We always ask the question, where are you? In Chapel Hill, aren't you? No, but here's the thing. If anything, you turn to the opposing staff. If I'm Ohio State's coaching staff, I'm there at the scores table telling them, you ring the buzzer to those guys, and I use the derogatory term, to those zebras, come back on the floor and look at this. They're not going anywhere. And I thought they didn't do that vociferously enough. I mean, they have to question that.
Yeah.
And I think Ohio State's players shouldn't have panicked and just threw the ball back in and hurled it. I think three-quarter court. Stand there.
Well, let me ask you a question. I didn't see this. Did Ohio State inbound the ball?
I think they did. They ran and then threw it in quickly. But
did that let the 0.6 run off the clock?
No, but I'm saying the clock did not stop when they ran out of bounds with the ball.
Right.
So they should have.
But did they ever? You're right. The clock never did stop.
Right.
So they should have at least had the even if they inbounded it, it should not have counted. They should have gone back, put 0.6 on the clock, and then it would have been a miracle for them anyway. But you would have liked the chance.
In other words,
who knows? We've seen people get fouled in less than 0.6 seconds on last second shots that win ball games or tie ball games.
But I will say this, the player for Ohio State should have just stood there with the ball out of bounds and said, wait a minute, I know that clock is supposed to stop, but they hurled it in bounds, which I thought was a bad thing to do. Now, the other thing is this, is it me, or we can have a caller call me? But we don't keep stats on teams that blow leads and have no right to win a ball game. And I swear North Carolina teams do it more than any teams I see, where they just blow a lead and they say, well, they don't deserve to win this game. And those suckers still turn around and win the game. It just freaks me out, how they pull a game like that. But I because the girl was so afraid, one of the women was so afraid that they would commit a foul, that she waved the Matador cape at half-court line and just let the girl just pass her instead of stopping the ball, and she got in position to hit the winning shot.
This North Carolina team's 26-8, 6-1 on neutral courts, and good offensive team. They average about 76 points per game. This will be a tremendous test for South Carolina. Their big girl in the middle, Mavunga. Am I saying that right? Mavunga? Stephanie Mavunga. She's big, 14.5 points per game. She averages 9.5 rebounds per game. I think she had a double-double last night. She had a big night last night as well. She's a load there in the middle of that offense for North Carolina. This will be quite a test for the USC women. Of course, last year North Carolina knocked USC out of the tournament, and it will be interesting to see who has the home court advantage in terms of fan support.
And also last year,
probably I'd have to say I can't imagine. I mean, if there's 10,000 people there, there might be maybe 3,000 or 4,000 Gamecock fans will make the trip. North 7,000 or 8,000 or 9,000.
No, they'll be following the men. There'll be a house divided. They'll be with
when
the men.
When do the Tar Heel men play?
I don't know, but I think
is it Thursday or Friday for
men.
Yeah.
But
that would work to South Carolina's advantage. At the
but
same
North
time.
Carolina does not have the shields on the court this year.
Okay. Good news. Oh, Thursday, you said. Bad news. Bad news. UNC's playing, the men are playing on Thursday, so they'll have the full attention. The women will have the full attention. Of course, if North Carolina loses, the men, that will impact the attention of the Tar Heel fans on the women because they won't care as much. If their men are winning, then they will care fully about their women. I guarantee you. 800-956-7266. Coastal has taken a 1-0 lead on South Carolina, a home run by Owings in the bottom of the first inning has given Coastal Carolina a 1-0 lead. Coastal swings the bats extremely well. That's off of Reagan. And so Coastal has the 1-0 lead on South Carolina. USC batting in the second. 1 out and a runner on first. Up in the mountains, it's still Clemson 5-2 over Western as they play in the top of the fourth inning there. And let's get to your phone calls. 800-956-7266. We welcome in Hank in Columbia listening to us on the point. Welcome into Sports Talk. Hank, how you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing, Corn?
Man, we're doing fantastic.
Yeah, Corn, I was listening to you talk about the game for this upcoming week with the girls. And a couple of things that you'd be interested in knowing. I think when they play up in Greensboro, the crowd will probably be almost even with South Carolina and North Carolina fans. Even if South Carolina probably might outdraw them. And I'll tell you why. One, the guys are playing all the way out. North Carolina guys are playing all the way out in Los Angeles. So win or lose, I doubt they're going to get back for that next night's game. But this past weekend, North Carolina, when they won the first game, they only won by 6 points against the 13th seed. Both nights, the combined attendance in Chapel Hill of the Friday, the Monday, Saturday, the combined attendance was 4,023. They had 2,000 people each night, of which when they played Ohio State, there were a number of Ohio State fans in the arena, which means there were less than probably 1,600 Tar Heel fans. Whereas the combined attendance for the Carolina game this weekend was 21,430. And North Carolina has not drawn, I think, more than 2,000 this entire season for any home game. They drew one game, might have been Notre Dame or Duke, where they drew like 2,200. So I just think that the Carolina team's fan following has been more consistent, and they're gobbling up the tickets.
Yeah, and certainly South Carolina's fan base is energized and excited because this is, even though they've been to the Sweet 16, I mean, we're talking about a chance to win the championship. North Carolina's been there, done that for so many years under Sylvia Ryan Hatchell. Their fan base might be a little more yawnish about it because it's old hat to them. We shall see. Thank you very much. Back in a moment. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Back to the phones in a moment. Update baseball. Coastal still leading USC 1-0. They've gone to the bottom of the second. And Clemson still up 5-2 on Western Carolina. They play the top of the fourth inning up in Cullowhee. Tigers scored 1 in the first and 4 in the second to build their 5-0 lead. And Alex Schnell continues on the mound for Clemson. K-Mac has joined us now from USC practice, and Spurrier did come out and talk today, huh?
He did. He surprised us all. We did not expect Steve Spurrier to come by, but he said he figured he'd come over and chit-chat with us for a little while, and he seemed to be in good spirits. And we'll hear from him in just a couple of minutes. Definitely worth the price of admission there. Also caught up with Lorenzo Ward for a few minutes, and he too seems pretty pleased with how everything's going. Deke Adams also likes what he's seen so far out of everybody. Everybody seems to like the intensity and the energy out there. As an observer, I was there for about the last 45 minutes to an hour of practice. To my untrained eye, it looks like every other spring practice that I've ever watched, just a new group of guys. One thing you can tell is Farrell Cooper is going to be a big, big part of the offense next year. They're finding all sorts of ways to get him the ball in his hands. And, how much they use him at quarterback, well, that remains to be seen. It depends on what happens with some of the other guys that they have in there right now. And of course, the new guy coming in over the summer.
Nunez.
Lorenzo Nunez. What's going to happen with him? So, Steve Spurrier coming up.
Okay, good. We'll hear that, and we'll hear Lorenzo Ward as well. I'm telling you, the hiring of John Hoke has really, I think, set Spurrier at ease now moving forward with the football program. All right, 800-956-7266, the number here on Sports Talk. Tomorrow night we'll have Dawn Staley with us, scheduled for 6:15. The USC women will be on the bus making their way up to Greensboro, but she'll join us tomorrow night to talk about the matchup with North Carolina. Back to the phones we go, and it is Don or Dawn? Don in Fairview. Did you say Fairview? Okay. Don, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
I'm doing fine. I'm sure you guys are too.
We are indeed. Thank you.
Well, Sunday was the straw that broke the camel's back for me as far as NASCAR. I'm done with them.
You think there was something funny going on?
Oh, absolutely. NASCAR, all they want to see is the green-white checker on every race. I mean, that's just stupid. But the race was coming down to who's got gas, who doesn't have it, who's going to take a chance, who's going to jump in and get a splash of gas and make it to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like an old-time NASCAR race, and all of a sudden.
Yep. It really was.
Camera never went to it. Yeah. Nobody looked at it. Nobody saw it.
Yeah. It really, you're right. It had a great setup to it. It was a strategy battle too. Were you going to pit? Were you going to take 2? Were you going to take 4? You had all those different strategies coming into play, and all 3 were being used. But it all got ruined, you're right, by debris on the track. It's funny. Every sport has that call by their officials. In basketball, it's the block charge. In football, it could be, was it a catch or not a catch? Or was he on the line or not? Or pass interference. Baseball, of course, is the close strike. And NASCAR, it's debris on the track. You sound like a longtime racing fan. That's got to be the one thing that drives you crazy, is that particular call.
Oh, absolutely. And basically, I'm a Formula One fan, an American Le Mans fan, and a Trans Am fan, but I've watched NASCAR ever since I was watching Richard Petty and Pearson and all that crowd at Columbus Speedway on that dirt half mile. So I've been watching NASCAR for a very long time, and I'm done with them. I'm not going to watch them anymore. I'm not going to watch another race.
Tell you what, pay a couple of guys a ton of money, and have them run on the track and get the debris off. It just have to dodge the car. But my understanding is there's going to be debris on the track all the time. If you have some fender benders, or even if they gather into a bunch. So I don't understand why you indiscriminately just call the rule anytime.
Well, now one time there was one of the calls was legit because the cover of a bumper came off.
Yeah,
and after the situation on the track, there was no question about that. It's the first one that raised everybody's eyebrows because for whatever reason in Fox or whoever's doing the television, usually the cameras will zoom in, whether it's a piece of a tire or a piece of a bumper or a beer can or whatever it happens to be that's out there causing debris on the track. They'll find it, but they didn't do that this time. And it's right. It's made people very suspicious. Thank you for your phone call. Appreciate it very much. We'll take this up with Chip when he joins us at the bottom of the next hour and get his thoughts on it. It's one of those subjective calls in NASCAR that a lot of people are skeptical about, especially in this particular case. Now you've got Kurt Busch racing for the win, and here he is just back from suspension, and the thing goes, NASCAR didn't want him to win so soon coming back from suspension. He's running away with it. He's pulling away. It was his race to win, and here comes the debris on the track call, and it did lead. The one thing it did do, of course, was lead to the calls on strategy at the very end, as we talked about before. And so they re-racked everybody, restarted, and here we go again. Looks like it's going to be Busch again, and here comes the call again. Now, one time, okay. Second time, that's a little bit funky.
Is it me? I have never seen a driver not hurt by a late debris on the track call. It's almost like it's not a matter of fact call. It always hurts a driver who's either leading or trying to catch up right in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Well, it also hurt Matt Kenseth because he goes into pit. He had the strongest car. It looked like he was going to win. And so he goes into pit and they drop the car off the jacks. And what happens? He breaks an axle because of the concrete. Why it happened to break at that time, at that point, it did, but that cost him a chance to win. So there were a lot of casualties from those cautions coming out at that particular point in the race. Thanks for the phone call. We'll dive into that further with Chip when he joins us. I can't wait to hear what Monty Dutton's got to say on Friday when he joins us to talk about that.
He never seems to hold back.
No, Monty will have plenty on his mind about that particular deal. All right, 800-956-7266 is the phone number here on Sports Talk. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com and on Twitter at sportstalksc. Coming up, we're going to hear from Steve Spurrier. Anything more from practice in regards to injured players, players being held out and that sort of thing?
No, not that I observed. We'll look for the official report that usually where some of those things come out, but I don't think there were no injuries that I observed while I was there, and most everybody was back. I know Dexter Weidman was out there running around and trying to figure things out. He looks like a guy that was playing at Camden Military last year, not in the SEC. So no major news on that front, pending the practice report, which should be out about any minute. Yeah.
So I guess the biggest news coming out of there, did we mention this earlier? Spurrier saying he's going to call the plays.
Yeah. I mean, he got into that. He called them for a while last year, and then he said he started delegating them, and then he would call them again and then delegate again. And I asked him why, and he said the same reason why everybody gives up the play calling, same reason why he did it several years ago. That he said they were struggling, and he thought, well, maybe somebody else should get in there and do it. And then they'd get into the game, and he'd say, well, wait a minute, maybe I should get back in there and do it. But he's going to go from the jump.
I've always said that if Spurrier is not calling the plays, then he's shortchanging his team and his fans, because let's face it, that's what he's there to do. That's what he's paid the millions of dollars to do, and not to delegate the play calling to anybody, Junior, GA, Sean Elliott, none of them. I mean, that should be his thing, and he shouldn't allow himself to take a back seat. Whether they're struggling or not, he should be the one calling the plays to get them out of their struggles. If they're struggling,
doesn't he have the last veto though for every play that's called? I think what he ought to do is just look at the Auburn game from last year and say, look, that's what we want. Because he was really into that game. It looked like he was having an out of the body experience in that game.
Okay, we had a decent practice today. Got some nice heat out here. Must have been.
All right, quick update on baseball. USC's taking a 2-1 lead at Coastal. We'll update the scoring there in a little bit. Clemson still leading 5-2 at Western Carolina. All right, K-Mac, you were out at practice. Spurrier came over to talk.
Yes, he did. And a surprise for Spurrier, who was not scheduled to speak today, but wanted to come by and chat about the practice.
Okay, we had a decent practice today. Got some nice heat out here. Must have been close to 80 instead of 74 or 5. But anyway, the guys were hustling around. Hopefully, I think we make some progress today. Other than that, wishing our ladies basketball team success in Greensboro. Should be a heck of a game with the Tar Heels. Who else is in that region? I don't even know.
Florida State, Arizona State.
Okay, and we need to worry about the Tar Heels first and go from there. All right, what you guys got? Anything much? Josh, you got something always.
I really don't. I wasn't expecting you to come over today. I would have put more thought into it.
Yeah, I thought I'd come over and see you boys, see what's happening.
Connor Mitch still the clear-cut one in your eyes?
Well, we're all practicing right now. There's no determination. We want determination who's going to start next year, probably till preseason practice. But he'll run with the first bunch here, probably most of spring. And but we got to get the other guys, you know. And Brendan Nosovich is an excellent play-action quarterback, run the option and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there's a spot for him to come in and play a bit next year also.
Would you imagine you'll use Farrow as much as a Wildcat quarterback as you did last year?
Well, it depends. It depends on how Lorenzo Nunez does. And Nosovich. Nosovich is he's more of a combination guy, whereas the other three quarterbacks are not considered outstanding runners. So, yeah, there's a spot for that running quarterback, as we all know.
Coy Lewis causing wreaking havoc.
Yeah, but he knows how to get out of the quarterback's way. He doesn't go out and stand right in front of the quarterback the way some of our defensive ends have done in the past. He's smart to beat the tackle and then get out of the way and let the quarterback throw the ball right now. But, yeah, he and a lot of those D linemen are coming around. Linebackers are active. Secondary guys are competing. So, trying to make some progress. All right.
Steve, you mentioned in the offseason a couple of times that y'all were going to do some things different. Does that include play calling? Do you have any
play calling?
Yeah, are you going to do anything different in regards to play calling?
Well, I plan to be the play caller again. Now, I did delegate at times last year, but I usually took over before the game was over. But I certainly plan on doing it, and I'll be ready to do it and go from there.
Why did you decide to delegate some last year?
Same reason I did several years ago. It wasn't going very well. Same reason Mike McCarthy says he's going to delegate, the Green Bay coach. You know, you make a bad call, say, oh, dumbass, why did I do that? Maybe somebody else could do it better. And then you realize, it's not necessarily the play call or just what happened. Yeah, Mike McCarthy at Green Bay, after they muffed the onside kick, he thought it was his fault. It wasn't his fault. It just, stuff happens. But it'd be interesting to see if he can get away from it because he's always been the play caller just like I have. And you have times, well, maybe he can do it better, or maybe this, but it seems like I always would take over at some point in the game and go from there. So I'm always ready, and but I think the best thing is just go from the get-go right next year. Okay.
Are you gonna take suggestions from the other guys on
Oh,
the
yeah,
headsets?
always do
you wanna
that.
hear-
Yeah, we've always done that. I've done that ever since I've been here. Suggestions here and there, especially on the run game, especially at times, but not always. Not always. I mean, I listen to them, but don't always go with suggestions, which is expected. Yeah. All right, man. What else going on? Anything? Scrimmage a little bit Saturday. We're actually going. I think, are they allowed to come? But we got that junior day. Yeah, we got a junior day Saturday, so I guess you guys can't come to that. Whatever the rules are, doesn't matter to me. But I guess we'll talk to you after the scrimmage and tell you what happened. Okay. All right. You want the Masters again?
Yeah.
Man, you got your green on. I don't know if I'm gonna go Thursday or not. I've been a bunch. Gosh, it's the 11th year I've been here, so I've been about 8 of them. I've sort of let the other coaches go. They enjoy walking around.
When was the last time you played up there?
Oh, I play every year. Dan Breeden invites us now. Hootie Johnson used to, and Hootie doesn't play much golf anymore. So Dan Breeden has been the guy that calls us up. We play, one afternoon, have dinner on the grounds there, and play the next morning and take off. And that's plenty. That's excellent. So we really enjoy. All right.
Okay. That's good stuff. That's good stuff from Spurrier. And interesting. I don't know. So much of that was interesting that he had to say. The fact that he is going to be the full-time play caller once again, I mean, that shouldn't come as a revelation to anybody. He should be doing that every game, no matter what the year is.
Well, maybe he's saying that since John Hoke has a defense, I'm going to be the play caller. Maybe that's what he's saying.
Well, maybe so. All right, we'll be right back. Give you the recruiting update in a moment. All right, a lot of recruiting for you tonight. Defensive end Javon Kinlaw from Goose Creek, been favoring USC throughout the recruiting process to the point he's not strongly considering any other program. Florida, Clemson, and Florida State are also on his list. They remain in touch with him in some form or another, but right now he's primarily focused on the Gamecocks. He said last night that could lead to a commitment Saturday when he attends Junior Day. Says he hears from USC basically every day and gets a lot of handwritten letters from them. They tell him he'll be a big asset to the team. So he says he's going to take a look at things and determine on the visit if he should make a commitment, if it's a good visit. If not, then he'll probably hold off on making the commitment. He's coming in with his teammate, defensive lineman Marvin Kyler, and with Kyler's mom, expected to arrive early as Saturday morning for the 9 o'clock start to the Junior Day. He does want to meet with new coach. Kinlaw says he'll take other officials. Florida, Clemson, Florida State would be possibilities. Hasn't heard from Clemson since going to Junior Day there earlier this month. Florida's defensive line coach did reach out to him a while back, and he also talked with new Florida State defensive line coach Brad Loing. USC is going to get that official visit from defensive back Isaiah Johnson, the former starting safety from Kansas, who's transferring for his final season of eligibility. Told us last night that he has scheduled the visit for April 11th, weekend of the USC spring game. Of course, he was a 2-year starter for the Jayhawks. He's out of Cary, North Carolina, and he said his interest in South Carolina is very high. However, he's also dealing with Louisville and Wake, and he said most likely he'll take an official to Louisville the week after USC. Offensive lineman Jawan Williams has picked up an offer from South Carolina. He already had one from Clemson. He's from Washington, D.C. USC target defensive back Simeon Gatling of Greensboro, North Carolina, is going to visit LSU in mid-April. Defensive back Chris Pam from Blythewood plans to visit Michigan State, Wake Forest, and Clemson for their spring games. Clemson target offensive lineman Parker Boudreaux from Orlando has upcoming visits to Ole Miss, Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, and Mississippi State. In basketball, 6'4" Jamal Gregory of Washington, D.C. has an official to USC scheduled for Thursday. His coach at his prep school down in Delray Beach, Florida, told us last night that South Carolina started following him in January and offered in mid-February. Chad Myers is the coach. He said Gregory's a tremendous athlete, high jumper, very good defensive player. Kansas State and VCU are among the other schools showing interest. Oklahoma State has also called about him. He's also visited Maryland a couple of times. Frank Martin did not meet with Malik Ellison yesterday. They're going to meet later in the week. Top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Tuesday night. Good to have you with us. Lines are open if you'd like to join us. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. And our email, talkback@sportstalksc.com. Coming up, we'll hear from USC co-defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward. Chip Weil will join us as well at the bottom of the hour. And, of course, we have time for your calls. Tomorrow night on Sports Talk, Dawn Staley at 6:15 live. They'll be making their way up to Greensboro. We'll also hear from USC men's coach Frank Martin. He's having his end-of-season recap press conference tomorrow. We'll have that covered for you as well on the show tomorrow night. Now, at Coastal Carolina, USC is leading 2-1 as they play in the bottom of the fourth inning, 2-2-1. The Gamecocks have left 5, 1-2-2. The Chanticleers have left 1. The Gamecocks took the lead with 2 runs in the third. Coastal had taken the early 1-0 lead, and the Gamecocks came back with a couple of runs there in the third.
What time did that game start? 6?
6 o'clock. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it started at 7.
2-1. USC is up. Clemson has extended its lead to 8-2 on Western Carolina. And Tigers have put 3 on the board in the fifth. They had 4 in the second, 8-6-0 for Clemson, 2-3-0 for Western Carolina. All right, couple of other notes to pass along. Some news on Citadel basketball search. Jeff Hartzell of the Post update, citing a source with the list of candidates for the job. VMI coach Duggar Balcom, ex-Citadel assistant coach Doug Novak, who's now the head coach at Division III Bethel University. Let's see how smart Pro is. Where's that located, Pro?
I have no idea.
In Minnesota. Another coach said to be on the list is Jeff Krikorian, head coach at Division III Christopher Newport University. Where would that be, Pro? Newport News, Virginia.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was about to tell these coaches, wherever they are right now, I don't care where it is, better stay where you are.
Former Citadel assistant Andy Fox, now at Tulane, also has had contact with Citadel officials. Krikorian and Balcom interviewed at the Citadel back in 2010 when Chuck Buzzell was hired. Former Wake Forest and Air Force coach Jeff Bisdelic is not interested in the job, he said. Who would have thought he would be interested in the job? Well, I guess because of his Air Force ties.
Yeah.
So they're talking about Duggar Balcom, Doug Novak, Jeff Krikorian, and Andy Fox. Those are the ones. Now, Balcom would be an interesting hire because, of course, VMI, military school, and he plays a different brand of basketball.
Where's Les Robinson now?
He's walking the beach. As we speak, I guarantee
if
you he's walking
anybody
the
is
beach.
in that job, better talk to Les how good he was there and say, how did you do it?
How did he do it?
He's a good coach.
He was a good coach. He taught his players well. Be right back. Clemson continues to hammer away at Western Carolina. Tigers with a 6th spot now as they still bat in the top of the 5th with 2 runners on, 2nd and 3rd, and 2 men out. It's 11-2 Clemson. So the Tigers hitting the baseball. Tyler Krieger is your ACC leading hitter. I think he was batting about 469 going into the game today. And Tigers are in great shape to win this game. You know, Western gave them fits last year. Remember Clemson going up there and getting beat soundly. But returning the favor today, let's see, Krieger was batting 420 going into today's game, which still isn't bad. They can get him healthy. Imagine what a healthy Tyler Krieger would mean to Clemson, both in the field. He can't play in the field, though, because of his shoulder, strictly as a DH. Over in Conway, it's USC 2-1. In the bottom of the 3rd, the Gamecocks took the lead. Caldwell a single up the middle, an RBI, an unearned run scoring for the Gamecocks. So they're up 2-1 as they play in the bottom of the 4th inning. However, no men are out, and 3 Chanticleers are on base. So the bases are loaded. Vogel has come in to pitch for Reagan. So a full-blown jam for Vogel to step into as Coastal has the bases jammed and nobody out.
They say the Sacks are drunk.
Yes, they are. All right, back to the phone. Oh, want to mention this little recruiting note. John Rothstein, CBSSports.com, said that Seton Hall transfer Jaron Cena, a guy that USC had been involved with, is considering Michigan, Stanford, and Boston College. He's citing a source, which sounds about right. I've not been able to get in touch with him the last couple of weeks. When a person you've had contact with and you've been following stops responding, it usually means they're not interested in the school from the area that you're calling from. That's a pretty good indication. That sounds it sounds like South Carolina may be out of the picture, which would explain why, to some degree, Martin going after Malik Ellison and also going after the Jamal Gregory, couple of guards, and moving towards the high schoolers versus taking a transfer.
And I know, every school has its tremendous attributes that they show athletes on a visit. That's why I think this illustrates, just as illustration, how important it is to get a guy to at least come to your campus and visit. Because, Corn, I believe you said in your write-up that here's a guy that was interested in business, but he was mostly interested in a career in broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a guy like that, he comes to South Carolina and first of all sees that new business school and then sees the new journalism school being built. You tend to want to entice a guy like that. But if you can't get him on campus and he doesn't see it, you're not going to get him.
Where are they building that new journalism school?
On the Horseshoe.
Are they? You think they'll name anything after me? Since, I
think
go
they
have
actually have a bathroom stall that they're going to put your name above.
Is that right?
Maybe you can buy a brick. They'll put your name on it.
Oh yeah, if you give them money, you can get.
They'd be happy to. Yeah, they would be happy to do that.
Thanks for the memory. So, and it's Bob over in KC. Hello, Bob. Welcome to Sports Talk tonight. How you doing?
How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
I am okay. I guess by now you've heard of the story of Greg Marshall possibly being interviewed by the University of Alabama.
Is it going to happen?
I don't know. How much is Alabama willing to pay up?
$3 million a year is what I originally heard.
$3 million a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do you think?
Good night, guys. That's all I had to say.
Well, do you think the interview is actually going to happen? Have we seen anything about an interview?
I can't tell. I just work in retail grocery. I can't tell. I mean, money talks, and the old saying, what walks. So, I mean, I can't tell.
Yeah.
I can't tell. Wichita State gives him his blessing, says go ahead on. He goes ahead on, he pays the buyout, and that's it.
Yeah.
He's gone. I mean.
Well, let us know what you hear on that.
Yeah, he won't be doing anything until
he's got more things on his mind.
He would not interview during a Sweet 16 run.
Here's the deal: you got $3 million to come and rebuild the Alabama program. You're making a little bit over $2 million at Wichita State, and guess what? When you go to the athletic director's office, his door is wide open. Why? Because ain't king at Wichita State. Basketball is.
I'm not sure they still have football at Wichita State.
I'm not certain.
State man checked it. For some reason, I'm thinking they dropped the program.
But this is what
I could be wrong, but I don't remember any Wichita State scores in football coming across.
So if I got $2 million and I got Wichita,
their football program ended in '86. So you're the man.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's a different type of pressure. I mean, your sport has to carry everything.
There you go.
But some coaches are like, now, I don't think Greg is like that. He certainly comes across to me as somebody who's not afraid to carry the load. But if he goes to Alabama, he's no longer the big dog.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. He was at Winthrop, carried the day there, carried the day for the whole Big South Conference for a lot of years. And then you turn around and you go to Wichita State, where basketball is king, has been king there for a while. Baseball did have its run. But and you're making $2 million a year. You have what? You have for what people call a mid-major, you have freedom of a private jet to fly on recruiting trips or whatever. $2 million private jet. I'm the king. $3 million over here. I ain't the king anymore. A lot of pressure, and I could be out in 6 years if I don't get it done.
Where's the pressure? Where's there more pressure, at Alabama or Wichita State? I mean, the pressure.
I'm not going to ask about pressure.
If you go to Alabama, there's no pressure because you're going to have a couple of years.
Tell that they just fired.
You're going to have a couple of years to get things started. Now, after about 2 or 3 years,
not long enough.
There'll be some pressure.
Not long enough. That's what I'm saying. I got the closest thing in basketball coaching circles, and I'll use the word, people, closest thing to tenure. If I'm Wichita State, I keep that thing rolling. Hey, I got a Gonzaga in the Midwest. If I'm Greg Marshall, I'm staying there. And he seems like the attitude that he likes that.
All right, thanks for the call. 800-956-7266 is the number. Let's hear from USC defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward K-Mac. You were there, and he came over to speak. And what was the subject of his comments?
Well, a lot of different aspects, but of course he's focusing more on the defensive line and the up front guys, and John Hoke is handling the full unit and also handling some personnel switches out there.
Well, I think they both got some learning to do. You know, they're both really essentially switching positions and that they played for, 3 years since they've been here. So, they both got some learning to do. They're both making some mistakes, but I think it'll be a good move. I think TJ will end up being a good nickelback because that's what the Spur is now, and Jordan could be a good safety for us.
Well, what's the thinking behind that? The fact just get a little more speed at safety with Jordan, or do you think the TJ is just better Spur than?
Well, I think Coach Hoke really was looking at the guy that's the better cover guy of the two.
Right.
And so you take the better cover guy and you put him close to the line of scrimmage because that's what that plot is going to really be in this system. And then Jordan would be more of a safety that he didn't have to cover one-on-one.
How about Lorenz? How much of an adjustment is him to go from Spur to linebacker? He's kind of a linebacker anyway, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's Lorenz is playing outside linebacker and playing wheel linebacker are very, very similar. They're both the same when you get back.
Where's Bryson playing?
Bryson's playing wheel right now. Bryson is backing up Skymore. Not Sky, Jonathan Walton.
Would he potentially move if he's one of the best three, or do you like him in that spot?
Well, again, we'll figure out the best three, and then we'll put the best three on the field. So, anything can happen. We're actually experimenting with some guys, and we'll see what's best for the defense.
I noticed you're paying during the early workouts, you're paying a lot of attention to the defensive line. Means that you tending to play extra focus and attention to the defensive line throughout the spring?
Well, I think we got more experience at linebacker, and so Coach Black can handle those guys, and you really need 4 eyes on the front. Especially with the young guys, we got a lot of new guys. Dexter Wyman, Quay, so we got to make sure we have the right eyes on them. So that's why I'm spending a lot of time with the front.
All right, Lorenzo Ward, co-defensive coordinator, talking about some of the moves on the defensive side. We'll be back. More sports talk coming up. update the baseball scores for you up at Coastal. I'm sorry, that's down at Coastal. We'll go up to Western first. We'll start up there. 13-2. Clemson with an 8-run fifth inning. Pretty much put this one on ice. Tigers are up 13-2. They are pounding the baseball. They've got 11 hits today. Let's see. Duggar's got 2. Oakey's got 2. Eli White's got 3 for the Tigers, and they're cruising. Meantime, things have fallen apart for USC, and things have picked up big. Remember, we left with Coastal having the bases loaded. USC making a pitching change. Did not work out. 6-2. Coastal Carolina still has the bases loaded, still batting in the fourth inning. They've already scored 5 runs. There are still nobody out, and the bases are still loaded. Let's see what happened here. Schroeder walked. Parrott walked. I need glasses. Chadwick singled up the middle to load the bases. Then a bases loaded walk to Molina.
Unbelievable.
Scored 1. Then a bases loaded walk.
That's 4 walks I've heard.
To Marks. Scored another. And this thing is not giving me there must have been a hit or something to drive in other runs. USC's making another pitching change. Park came in. Now Scott's coming in. I don't know what happened after that other walk to get the rest of the runs. The bottom line is Coastal is up now 6-2 on the South Carolina. Bases are still loaded, and Coastal's got 5 across here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
And we're looking at the NIT. Richmond 21. Miami has scored 8 points in 13 minutes. What happened to them? This is a team that blew out Duke at Cameron.
Don't know. All right, let me get back up here for a second. When Schroeder walked, okay, the bases were loaded. Okay, here we go. The bases were loaded, and Schroeder walked to get a run in.
Mm-hmm.
Bases still loaded, and Farrett walked.
Mm-hmm.
Bases still loaded, and Chadwick singled up the middle to get a run in. So bases are still loaded. Molina walked to score a run.
That's 5
and then
walks.
Mark walked to score a run.
That's 6 walks in that inning.
Boy, I would. Ooh, what do you think?
Chad Holbrook's head's probably spinning around like Linda Blair.
Unbelievable. All the walks. So let's see. Let's take a look at USC's pitching line so far. I see Reagan went 3 innings, allowed 3 hits, 4 earned runs. He walked 2. Vogel recorded no outs, gave up 2 runs. He walked 2. Park recorded no outs, gave up a hit. He walked 2. And now Scott's coming on. Yeah,
That's
John
6
Whittle
walks.
pointed out today at the Big Spur that the USC pitching staff has given up many more walks at this stage of the season compared to last year, which is surprising for a pitching staff whose overall numbers are still pretty good up until tonight. Be right back. All right, somehow South Carolina managed to get out of further mess in that fourth inning. Bases were loaded. None were out, and they get out of it with any further runs being allowed, but they trail Coastal 6-2 going to the top of the fifth inning. A 5-run fourth inning for Coastal Carolina puts them on top. USC had led 2-1, and Coastal came back with that fourth. A lot of bad pitching there. South Carolina got them into a lot of trouble. And let's see, to get out of the inning, USC brought in Reed Scott. He got a strikeout for the first out. Then Owings, who had homered earlier in the game, hit a ground ball, and a runner was thrown out at the plate for the second out, and then a liner to first ended the inning. So Coastal up 6-2. Clemson now 14-2.
Wow. Save some of those runs for the
Western Carolina.
weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they don't need it. They got Wake Forest coming in. They won't need that many runs. It's Tuesday night after a NASCAR weekend. Let's visit with our good friend from Darlington Raceway, Chip Weil. I have a question for you to begin things. I was thinking about this. All right, it's called Darlington International Raceway, Daytona International Raceway. There's some other international raceways. Where does the international part come from?
That's a good question, Phil. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Study that.
Maybe you got some international drivers.
Huh?
Yeah, well, maybe. That's a good question.
Mark, no,
it's hard to
we don't use
stump you.
international much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But it is officially Darlington International Raceway, is it not?
It is. In fact, Darlington International Raceway, but we don't call it, we don't use international anymore. But the France is obviously, they like those international names. International Speedway Corporation makes sense. So,
yeah.
Heck, I don't know. That you stumped me.
Good. It's one of the few times.
Yeah.
All right, now I know I'm really going to stump you because I know you're not going to give me a straight answer on this, but debris on the track.
Well, listen, debris on the track is something that everybody likes to have a conspiracy theory about. Unfortunately, I hate to break everybody's bubble, but NASCAR takes that very seriously. So they have spotters all over the racetrack. And if they get a report of debris from either a driver, a spotter, a team, they call into a person who has a really good vantage point of the racetrack, and NASCAR asks them, "Hey, is there stuff on the track?" If there is, then they'll take a closer look at it from the tower, and then they'll make a determination as to what they do. Do they throw a caution? Do they not? I've heard a number of times where somebody reports debris and there isn't a caution thrown because they don't, in NASCAR's eyes, they don't see that as a threat or as something that potentially could hurt a competitor. So they don't do it just to throw.
Mm-hmm.
I know people want to think that, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
Any explanation as to why Fox didn't show the debris except for when the bumper cover came off of whatever car that was? They showed that, but that's what's got people buzzing because typically the television provider will zoom in on the debris.
Well, sometimes they do. Sometimes they miss it. NASCAR tries to make sure they communicate well with the TV partners so they keep up with the race and know exactly what's going on. But especially getting late in the race, NASCAR sometimes doesn't have the time or the ability to communicate effectively with the broadcast partners. But again, NASCAR understands that it's their job to keep the integrity of the sport, and they're not going to throw a phantom caution because they think it's a good idea. If you look at the racing on Sunday, it was fantastic. They didn't need to throw a caution. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch or Kurt Busch were gonna battle it out for the win. I thought it was going to end up being one of the better races we've seen in a while, and unfortunately the caution came out.
Well, before we get to the actual racing, let me ask you this. It's got to bother you, or maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth. I mean, when somebody like me, a NASCAR part-timer, brings it up, it's one thing, but when you read Jenna Fryer and she writes a story and raises the question, and other veteran NASCAR riders who are there racing and racing out, when they bring up the point, that's got to chafe you a little bit, or does it?
Well, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and sometimes we don't have the same opinion. But again, we're all trying to pull the rope in the same direction. Jenna Fryer can write whatever she wants, but again, NASCAR's doing what they have to do in order to keep the competition safe. And if they, in their eyes, if they felt there was debris on the track, they're going to throw the caution. They'll do it 100 times out of 100. They're going to keep their competitors safe. And the only people that really know if there's debris on the track is NASCAR, right? Jenna Fryer went up in the booth with them. She's sitting in the media center. So it's pretty unfair for people to be so judgmental when they really don't know the true story.
All right. So when Kurt Busch utters the three letters to his crew when the first one came out, I think he said what, WWE is what he was quoted as saying to his crew.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, you look at Kurt Busch's race, and you look at the first two races he's been in the race car this year. He's been strong. He's really strong at Phoenix, and he was really, really strong at Auto Club. And I think him and the 4 car really have something figured out. And sure, is it disappointing that when you lead the most leveling for the win, you don't get it? Absolutely. But that's part of racing, man. That's just part of what we do for a living. And sometimes the fastest car doesn't win. Obviously, in the case of California, that was it. Brad Keselowski didn't have a race-winning car, but he used strategy to his advantage, and those 4 tires certainly were the way to go at the end of the race, and was able to race his way up through there and get the checkered flag.
Yeah, you really had to like the way the race was finishing up. I mean, the first caution really led to some drama. Looked like it was just going to be a run to the flag there, I guess, for Busch. Or maybe even before Busch looked like he was going to win, it certainly looked like the 20 car was going to be the car to beat, and then they had their problem on pit road. But at least the one thing the cautions led to was the question about which strategy to use: stay on the track, position, or 2 tires, or 4 tires, and that made for a very compelling finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, you knew the 2 fastest cars all day were the 4 and the 41. If I was a crew chief and I wasn't the 4 or the 41 crew chief, I was going to have to figure out a way to win. I can tell you that those guys won't make that mistake again. Every time you come in the Rotary Auto Club Speedway, you're going to bolt on 4 fresh tires because they're that much faster than the rest of the field.
Not to beat a dead horse, but have you ever seen a race where you had 1, 2, 3, 4 debris cautions in the last 50 laps?
I mean, at the end of a race, man, you got to remember they're so hard on this equipment for 500 miles, and sometimes things fall off race cars. It's just the nature of the beast. So again, NASCAR's doing the best they can. I'll support them all day long because they do a great job, and they have a tough job. They're never gonna please everybody, but they certainly have everybody's best interest at heart.
Well, I happen to know this doesn't happen at Darlington because you run a clean racetrack. You've got one of the cleanest tracks on the circuit. I expect no debris there come Labor Day weekend.
Well, listen, there'll be a lot of debris because we like to those cars like to rub the wall. When you start rubbing the wall, things start to fall off. So we'll expect a couple debris cautions here for sure.
Yeah, and the marbles in the corner, they always get you.
That's right. That's right.
All right, sir. We thank you as always, and have yourself a great week. We'll talk to you next week. We slow things down a little bit. We go to Martinsville, so it'll be exciting, just a little bit slower.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Phil. Have a good night, my man.
You too. And, of course, the tempers will be flaring at the track at Martinsville. What is that? That's 3/4 of a mile, Martinsville? Is it 3/4 or is it a half mile? What is Martinsville? I think it's 3/4 of a mile. I should know this, but it's not coming to me. Anyway, it'll certainly be slower than the track we've been on recently here, Phoenix and Vegas and Talladega and Fontana. That Fontana track, the oldest asphalt on NASCAR circuit right now. It's the oldest. They haven't repaved it, I think, since '94. I think.
Half mile.
Is it a half mile, Martinsville?
5.26 miles.
Yeah. But man, they can run 4 and 5 wide at Fontana. I love that. I love that track. 2 miles of just absolute speed, and it was a terrific race. And great call by Keselowski's crew to put the 4 tires on. He took off like a rocket there at the end. We'll be right back. Some Clemson football coming up. right, let's update the baseball. South Carolina in the 5th has come back and scored a run. That makes it a 6-3 Coastal Carolina lead. And Clemson up at Western Carolina, it's now 17-2.
Wow.
Tigers have had a 4-run inning, an 8-run inning, and now another 4-run inning. They lead at 17-2. And I don't think they've hit a home run. Everything's been sort of I don't think they've hit any home runs in this one, just kind of singled and doubled Western Carolina to death. So the Tigers with 14 hits, 17 runs, they're up 17-2. You know, listening to Spurrier and the questioners today, guys, I got to believe that our good friend Scott Hood from Gamecock Central, I really think when he's asking Spurrier a question, this is the one thought that runs through Spurrier's
Watch
mind.
out.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
That was cold. That was very, very cold.
Yeah, that was me that asked the question that led to that too. So maybe he was talking about me.
Maybe he's thinking of you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Could be.
Tyshawn Dye up at Clemson, Tiger running back, looking to make a big impact this spring and earn his place if he can stay healthy. That's been the thing with him, staying healthy. A lot of good running backs up there at Clemson. He hopes to be one of them. He spoke after practice yesterday with reporters about the competition with Wayne Gallman and the others to try to earn some snaps.
Really hard, man, because Wayne, he's a hard worker. He always has been. I think he just made a name for himself and let everybody know that that's his spot, and whoever wanted got to come get it.
Do you think having the reps that you had, the good game right before South Carolina, did that prepare you better for spring?
It gave me a better mindset about things. It let me know what I needed to work on, and yeah, it was pretty good.
What do you need to work on?
Just getting faster and quicker.
What have you done to help with that?
I was just doing a lot of bag drills, a lot of changing direction, running 100s, just getting time and trying to get down the field fast as I can.
Anything different up front this offseason? Protections different? Anything? Did you look at the offensive line pre-snap?
No, sir. Everything about the same team. Yes, sir.
Dabo said, last year all Tyshawn needs is a spring practice.
That's I believe it because I feel like I gotten a whole lot better since when I first came back and lost a lot of weight. So yeah, by this summer I should be where I want to be. Oh, I mean I'm not as slow as I was when I first came back, and then I feel like I got more endurance. I can last a little bit longer than what I did before. I don't get one that's fast.
Do you hear talk about running backs could be doing this much more at Clemson? The running backs need to do that.
I try not to pay any attention to that, so no, not really.
Recognize with the potential there, just when you have a quarterback like Deshaun back there, what you guys are capable of.
Oh yeah, I think we got a lot of potential to be. All of us is to be some great backs, especially Deshaun because he got a lot of experience under his belt right now, and I think it'll make the offense run a lot smoother.
Does it change much just because obviously Deshaun's rehabbing and you got freshmen in there? Does it change much for what you guys have to do?
No, sir. It's everything about the same. Coach is depending on us, a lot more to help them out. Like if they don't know something right, just pick them up and keep their confidence right.
What's realistic for this fall?
I could get faster. Yeah, my goal is to. I want to be first team. I would not want to be. But it's all up to the coaches, and I'm just gonna play my role until my time comes.
Where are you at weight wise?
215.
Is that where you like to be in the full?
No, I want to be 210.
Okay, Tyshawn Dye, of course, he's the big power running back. Gallman is the more slipperier of the running backs, I would say. And then, of course, you've got Zach Brooks going to figure into the battle, of course, coming off his injury. He's ready to go. You've got C.J. Fuller, who was redshirted last year, coming out of Easley. He's going to be very much in the mix. The Tigers they got a lot of good competition at the running back spot. Gallman will be the one probably coming out of spring. But don't forget Adam Choice. Forgot about him. And C.J. Davidson is still there. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 6 running backs who at one time or another was the guy.
Well, that seems to be the one guy that they need, because the move Clemson still has is when it's 3rd down, 1.5, 3rd down and 2. Give it to the running back and let him get it. But they have had problems.
Chad Morris play calling. That'll change now.
Yeah, they got that bomb out of town.
Yeah, that'll change now. They'll line up with the fullback and be more physical. Back in a moment.
Dumbass. 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 Dumbass.
All right, let's update some scores for you. Things are tightening up down in Conway, South Carolina. 2 runs in the 5th, and it's a 6-4. It's a 6-4 Coastal lead. They go to the top of the 6th, and see if I can tell you how the Gamecocks did it, relying on the game tracker here, the stat monitor, to tell me. Maybe if I click on the 5th inning, it will tell me what happened. Here we go. In the 5th inning, South Carolina, Schrock singled. Martin reached on a fielder's choice. Went to second on a balk. Caldwell walked. Destino reached on a fielder's choice. And then Destino, there was a balk. And Martin scored.
This is painful.
What's that?
You going through the play-by-play, trying to figure out what happened on
you
the stat tracker.
You can just turn your headset
I
down.
want to hear hits.
Turn your headset down.
I want to hear hits.
Bright,
I'm hearing walks and balks.
Bright singled to right center. Destino scored. Then Orinda struck out swinging. K-Mac, I can only read what's in front of me here.
Just the facts. Just the score would have been
no,
good.
because we tell our people we're going to keep you up to date. Trying to keep people up to date.
Play-by-play.
It's what we do here.
Didn't know we do the play-by-play.
No, I'm not sitting here saying there's a swing.
No.
Fly ball to right field.
You're reading the play-by-play.
Or as some announcers would say,
flown
out before. Jeez.
Be careful. That's the SC voice you guys are talking about.
Well, it's not the proper way to describe a fly ball to the outfield. I mean, I don't care, how many
Be careful.
championship rings you might have. There's a right way and there's a wrong way.
Be careful. I'm just saying, the guy, he'll come after you. I know from experience.
17-2, Clemson up on Western Carolina. Let's recap all the Clemson
Let's
scoring,
do that.
shall we?
Let's start the first inning,
Lot of
Corn. How'd they
walks
get
and
that
balks.
first run? Well, it was a 3-2 pitch, and then 2 foul balls, and he walked.
Mm-hmm.
And no, what happened? No, wait, he didn't walk. He was hit by a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there was a pass ball there. No, okay, they gave him a stolen base.
Right.
So then he moved to second.
That's good. That's really good.
That's it. I mean, I could do this all day.
17, 14, and 0 for Clemson. Am I allowed to give the line score?
That's excellent. Actually, that's
2,
useful.
4, and 2 for Western. Can I say who Clemson's
So Clemson's
pitching now?
they really are getting them back for what they did to them last year in Coley.
Jake Long's been pitching for Clemson. So it looks like the Tigers are going to win. They're in the top of the 7th there. Let's see. Tomorrow, we've got a great show lining up for you tomorrow. We will have Dawn Staley in the first half hour, and then Frank Martin as well. And Corey Miller joins us on Sports Talk. It's going to be a regular, maybe semi-regular get-together with the pastor of Payne.
Is he going to bring the pain?
He's going to bring the pain. He's going to bring his insight, his wisdom, not just about football. Of course, as a sports TV personality now here in Columbia, he's broadened his horizons of sports in the community. But he'll be joining us tomorrow night. He's actually going to be down in Florida at a golf tournament with Bill Murray. Don't know if he'll be with Bill, but it's a Bill Murray golf tournament that he is participating in. He's one of those important people who gets invited to these kind of events. So he'll be with us tomorrow night, part of what we do here on Sports Talk. Plus, there'll be Clemson football to talk about tomorrow night. They'll be practicing tomorrow. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.